Welcome to the instructional video. We will convert this Microsoft Word document into an Adobe PDF document. To do that, we will click File at the top left, select Save as Adobe PDF. Go ahead and click the Save button. You do not need to change the file name as it will reuse the same file name as the Microsoft Word document. After the document has finished converting, it will open up Adobe Acrobat automatically. We will be going over 3 different objects you can use to create multiple choice questions for your assignments. We will begin by selecting the Prepare Form option at the right hand side of the screen. Go ahead and select Prepare Form and click on the blue Start button. You will get another box that appears that says no new form field annotations were detected. This is completely normal as we are starting off with a blank document, so go ahead and click on OK. The purpose of the Prepare Form option will allow you to add buttons, text fields, drop-down lists, radio buttons, checkboxes, etc. In Adobe Acrobat Pro, there are many different icons with no names attached to the icons. Use your tooltip and hover over an icon to get a description of what each icon represents. Our first object that I'm going to cover will be the text field. For example, for question number 1, I want to make this an open-ended response. I want the user to be able to answer this question using sentences. So, at the top, I will go ahead and select the text field box. I will select it and I will draw a box under question 1. A yellow box will appear under your object. This yellow box will contain the field name as well as a link to the all properties of your object. For the field name, I'm going to rename this as Q1. The purpose of the field name is to give the object a name as well as avoid confusion when creating multiple objects. Moving on to the second object, we will be creating a true or false statement in question number 2. To do that, I will go ahead and click on the radio button at the top, add it below question number 2. The yellow box will appear again. I will rename choice 1 to true, and I will name the group name as Q2. I will leave the required field as blank, and one thing to keep in mind, you need at least 2 radio buttons per group. Once you have created the radio button, you will now need to add a text next to the button in order to distinguish the differences between the radio buttons. So I'm going to add true for this text. This will allow the user to determine that this button is the true button and the button below will be the false button. So I'm going to go ahead and add the false button. Click on the radio button again. I will rename choice 1 to false. And I will go ahead and add a text to label this as false for the user to see. For the third object, we will be adding checkboxes to question number 3. Go ahead and select the checkbox icon and add it under question number 3. For the field name, we will change this to CPU. We will go ahead and go back to the top, select the checkbox again, and we're going to click under the first checkbox and we're going to label this one as RAM. And we're going to select one more checkbox and we're going to place it under the RAM checkbox and we will label this as motherboard. Now that we have our 3 checkboxes, we need to add a text to each text box. That way we can allow the user to distinguish the different text boxes. So I'm going to add the first one, which is CPU. I'm going to add another text box below, and this is going to be RAM. And I'm going to add the third text for the last text box, and I'm going to label this one as motherboard. To add an optional reset button to your form, click on the button icon at the top, place it anywhere on your form, and label it as reset. Select the all properties, go to the Actions tab. Under Select Action, click on the drop-down menu and select Reset a Form. Click on the Add button and make sure you select all the fields to reset. Select OK, and move on to the Options tab. The Options tab will allow you to give the button a name that the user can see. So under Label, go ahead and type in Clear and click Close. The button will now have a name and will now reset the form. For practice, work on questions 4 through 10 and explore the different ways to use objects to create responses for your assignments. This concludes the instructional video on how to create fillable PDF documents using Adobe Acrobat.